It's California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance coming to you from Sacramento. We are joined by George Runner. He is a member of the Board of Equalization. And I want to speak with you as a historian of the state of California. You are quite the historian yourself. How is it that California has an elected Board of Equalization? And how did the word equalization get in that title?
Yeah, you know, and again, people don't realize California's the only state that has this directly elected tax board.
I did
no
not
other
know
state
that.
has that.
I did not know that.
And so, I mean, I think that's significant because what it means is taxpayers are very much like constituents then, just like when I was in the Senate or the Assembly or a congressional member. You look at the folks who voted for you as your constituents and you want to serve them.
Right.
That's what your job is.
Right.
And so, therefore, I look at my taxpayers out there and in my district as constituents who we want to help and serve.
And what's interesting, if I may, is California has 4 members of the Board of Equalization. So you represent, almost 10 million people.
Yes, that's right.
I mean, that's bigger than how many states? Probably
Right.
40 states.
Right.
Huge district. And you specifically, don't you have a large geographic district
Well,
yourself?
yeah, my district actually starts down in almost to Riverside County and then runs up the whole kind of east side of the state of California, including the Central Valley, all the Central Valley then, to the Oregon border.
Wow.
So I have like 60%, 65% of the land area of the state and just under 10 million people. So anyhow, so what happened is back in the late 1800s, the railroads were having difficulty because each county was assessing their properties differently.
I love this stuff, by the way.
And,
Keep going. I love
so,
this stuff.
So they'd go from county A to county B, and the county assessor would have a different way of assessing their property. And of course, they were big property owners.
Sure.
So they went to the legislature. The legislature then decided to put on the ballot a constitutional amendment to create this Board of Equalization. Clearly, the idea of equalizing.
Equalization, got it.
Equalize property taxes between counties, so that instead of each county assessor then deciding what the value of that property is, it would now be a Board of Equalization that would decide. And so that's how it began, and that's what it was. Now, the reason why there's 4 is because at that time, there were only 4 Congress members representing the state of California.
Come on.
So the first districts were basically the same as the congressional members back who represented California at that time. So that's why we have 4, and that's why that happened. So since then, of course, we still do. We still value, one of our jobs, or what we do is we value what's called state-assessed properties.
Right.
So it would be like railroads or gas lines or cell towers, things that have a county, move between county to county.
Do you know how the controller wound up being the 5th member?
That was just back in the beginning. That was just part of the deal. They needed a 5th member, and so they chose the controller as being then the 5th member of that board.
So do members of the Board of Equalization have any, I know the answer, but talk to me through it, legislative power per se?
Well, let me really quickly in regards to the controller too. It's kind of interesting. That's why the controller can send a deputy to a lot of the things that we do, like we do sales and tax or other kind of taxes and fees.
Right.
The deputy can vote for those things.
Oh, really?
Because the legislature, they came out of statute, law that the legislature did. When it comes to the issue of property tax, the controller himself or herself have to come and actually act on and vote for those things because that's what the state constitution requires. So that's on that issue of controller.
Any more anecdotes before we
I
have
don't
to
know.
break?
Hopefully the listeners are still interested in this, right?
Well, what's nice is, though, is that as the elected member representing a quarter of California, you are able to act as the eyes and ears and look for potholes in the road for taxpayers.
Well, you asked about the idea of legislative. We basically interpret the law that has been made.
And when we come back, I want to talk about some of those interpretations because you have many tips for us about the potholes that may be in the road. For our viewers on HLN, thanks for joining us. For our other viewers, we'll be right back with Senator George Runner, member of the Board of Equalization.